Diana Potora, thank you so much for joining us today on Let's Talk Money. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here and to be invited. So I hope I can add some value to your show.
I'm sure you can from what I know about you. Can we start by perhaps you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, how you got to where you are today? The title of the show is Let's Talk Money, so I'm going to be asking you about financial well-being for yourself and your business, and you can put that in as well. But just start by saying, what do you do and how did you get to doing what you do?
Um, so I founded and own a meal prep business based in Wigan. I've started the business in August 2022. I was still working then in my corporate job for Spa was my last job as a area manager,
Okay.
and um, I kind of I was reaching burnout to a point where I couldn't be like the mom that I wanted, the wife that I wanted, doing the job that I just sometimes being
Okay.
a perfectionist is not the best trait,
No.
especially when everything goes too fast around you. And I was eating a meal prep one lunch in between, working on my computer, eating, doing
Yeah.
all the things that you do. And I thought to myself, I can do this better. And that's kind of how we started. So since then, I've been on a roller coaster with my business. Really, really good, really fun. Um, a lot of personal learnings and a lot of challenges and try and errors and everything. So I
Okay.
wouldn't change it, but yeah,
It sounds
I'm glad I've
amazing.
done it.
So you had a sudden moment of inspiration during your lunch break at your old job. That's absolutely
It
amazing.
was a working lunch break. Imagine how many things were going through my mind. I mean, I was working and having a light bulb moment kind of a thing. And to be fair, all I did after that, I was like, I'm just going to put it out there and see if anybody's interested. Um, Previous to that, through COVID, I had like catering business, avocado and red wine. So I still had the business, but it was like dormant on the back because it just didn't fly out after COVID. So I was a bit busy and then it kind of settled down and I didn't have more time for it. I couldn't focus on it. So it was dormant, registered, but dormant. And I was just doing like grace boxes. So I kind of went back on it and on that, I said, would people be interested to eat meals with me, like, on my Facebook profile? And then a few friends kind of started saying, yeah, 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 we would love to try them. So then I started doing that, and then they started promoting it to their friends. And then, but I think by October, this was in August, I kind of had about 30 orders, and I thought, oof,
Really, that's amazing. So
and
you got your customers just by it happened because it was such a great
mm,
idea.
mm,
I
mm,
love it. So let's go back to that light bulb moment. You said you emphasized that it was a working lunch. So obviously,
mm.
did you get paid pretty well at that company? And when you had the light bulb moment and decided you were going to start this new business, what did you think about the need to earn money? Did you so your own personal financial well-being wrapped up in the financial well-being connected with your business? Did you think about those, or were you just so excited about the idea and working for yourself and having that freedom?
I think that's kind of the main challenge when you have a light bulb moment is it's a light bulb moment, you get excited and then you kind of think, okay, hang on, can I actually do it?
Yeah,
What would it mean? And I kind of thought about, all that money that I've always worked, I've always been employed, I always had a stable and good income, bonuses and all that. So the first thing was like, okay, what am I gonna do now for money? I had some savings, but how is that gonna help and how long can I last with? And it was actually that the same time, during that time, I think there was a bit of recession kind of starting, and the
Yeah.
electricity was going up, and people were kind of crazy on TV, like you know, you don't want to do anything that would be, I mean, there was a lot of instability. um
Yeah.
so yeah, money was always something that was at the back of my mind. It was probably the reason why I took till about October or November to decide what I'm going to do, as I could see kind of, you know, people kind of giving me really good feedback. And then I decided to resign in October, very cautiously and very, you know, worried in my mind, but at the same time with a lot of self-belief, because it felt right. But then I kind of given myself 3 months notice. I mean, I only had to give 4 weeks notice, but I think it was more for me than for them. Um,
Yes.
you know, in my mind, to kind of get myself with an idea and a bit of a plan together for coming January. It was kind of my birthday present, with in two ways. You know, one, you'll become unemployed, and the other part, you'll chase your dreams. So
Right. So you really were thinking about your financial well-being
yeah,
and
yeah,
decided I'll give
absolutely.
3 months notice instead of
Yeah,
the mandatory one. It gives me more time to plan and get things ready and make sure I'm ready to start earning money. I guess you were actually earning money already
yes,
when you were serving out your notice, were you?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so by
So
then, so kind of by the time I ended up being full time in my business, I was kind of into about 30% of where I saw myself kind of going for year one. So I was able to already get some, so alongside my savings, I was also able to get some funds every month from the business by January. So that
right.
was a really good.
Okay. So you were dipping into your savings, but they were
Mm,
being topped up by the income or the
yeah,
profit you were making in your business. So in
yeah.
terms of your financial well-being, your personal financial well-being, it definitely was an issue for you when you started the business.
Totally, yeah, totally. I think I think this, you know, money is such a big subject, and to be fair, there's not much out there around money,
Right.
and definitely not enough for, you know, for small business trying to turn a passion into a money making business. I think you know, there's a lot of that missing, and a lot of the reasons why a lot of businesses fail very early, because there's not enough to give you to make you profitable.
So you looked for help, but none was available in terms of financial planning, how to write a business plan. Was there no one around who could help you do that?
So I think one of the best things I did was find a mentor pretty early. So I've always had a mentor inside any job that I did, that I always find it really useful. So one of the programs that I found through Growth Hub was
Okay.
iMentor, which is a free mentorship program. So at the beginning, I always looked for like learning. So that those 6 months into, you know, me going full time into the business, I did a lot of self learning
Right.
onto this side. So I looked for a mentor, and I looked for a mentor that was into catering business, because another challenge was there's not much out there for food based businesses. I
Okay.
mean, when you go networking, there's hardly anybody that does food. Most of them have a space. You know, this is a bit of a different concept as well, because I do it from home, you know, so
Yeah.
people don't visit a restaurant. So there was a lot of challenges around just finding people that really understand my challenges. So the closest I could get was finding a mentor that does catering, or, you know, that has that experience with food. Um, that I had a passion for, but I didn't have the experience for necessarily. Um, I worked in Costa Coffee for many years, so I did have a bit of background around food businesses and
Uh,
EHOs and, you know, all the legalities of it, but not
okay.
necessarily around costing, because when you work in a bigger corporation, there's people doing things for you, whereas you end up in a small business, you're doing everything yourself. I was a barista maestro, when I
Okay.
started. I'm a bit of a coffee geek actually.
Okay.
I also train barista coffee skills. But I ended up, yeah, I worked my way up through Costa to area manager, and then I moved into retail after.
So that's really interesting, the way you started. So money was always at the back of your mind. You looked for help, it wasn't available. It sounded like you got some decent help from the High Growth Hub.
I ended up with a really good mentor that I currently, work with, and we've gone kind of 360, and I'm kind of mentoring the growth up now. And she's really supported me in understanding, what things to look at when you talk about a food business and what's important. Um, and I think the growth hub and their matching process, because you can get to select your mentor, it's a great place um, to start and look for help with the growth hub.
And what sort of advice did they give you, especially with regards to finance?
Yeah. So with the mentor, there was a lot of work around costing, around looking at the mill side of being profitable, about how to work your margins. Um, and to be fair, you kind of put it, because I was already really good with my profit and loss, and there's something that I carried over the years from all my jobs, because I was always responsible for my profit
Right.
and loss report. What was interesting was the way I can put the costing into the mills, and I can look at expenses and overheads, which is something that I've not had always influenced on, because it wasn't my business. So now it was about just making sense to all the lines on my P&L.
Right.
And one of the things that they've given me was a cash flow, a really good cash flow um, form that really helped me in my first year to stay on track, and be able to use only when I had, if you wish.
So you sound like you had a lot of knowledge before you
Mm,
started this from your previous work experience. What advice would you give to people who didn't have that knowledge, who didn't know what a P&L was? They didn't understand the importance of cash flow. Should they always go and seek help from a mentor?
totally. I think I put down the things, three things that I would say to people to do from day one. And one is look for a mentor. But by looking for a mentor, is make sure that you get somebody that really adds value to what you need. Put down your needs, understand really where your gaps are, and get a mentor that can help you to grow your business and obviously make it profitable. Second thing was around, stay close to your numbers. So even if you don't know, P&L initially, and you'll get some help from somebody, just know your numbers, know your sales, have a bit of a plan. In 3 months, I'll do this. In 6 months, I'll do this. And if you don't, adjust your actions to take you there. So for example, even to this day, like if I look at my numbers, I tend to look at my numbers once a week, just like just a quick overview, but once a month I look at them and see, well, what is it here, where's the expenditure, where I can pull, where I can do I have, or I can go into more networkings next week, or
Yeah.
even like on a weekly basis, look at the numbers. And if you're not reaching like the £500 that you wanted, or the 5,000, what actions can you take? I sometimes go personal to customers and get encourage them or give them an offer or something. So if you're close to that and you try and reach each little step, then you are closer to make it a profitable business, and
Yeah.
be sustainable long term. And I think the third thing would be invest in your well-being. I think that was something that I've learned really, really hard, because I felt like I went from like being a 24/7 to being a 24/7, which was the whole purpose of not being, if you know what I mean. I went from, I
Yeah.
thought I'm from my 9 to 5 job officially that I thought was a lot. I literally went to a 24/7 job at home, not
Yeah.
having anybody around me, because it can be quite lonely,
Yeah.
and getting onto the other side of being miserable, So trying to find that balance and be disciplined about your time and about, how you spend your time and your money is so crucial from day one.
That's actually intriguing. That's a huge pitfall to have in front of you, isn't it? If you go from 24/7 to 24/7 without realizing it, is that because there's no planning involved, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I think sometimes it's not even planning, is you've got so much passion for everything that you kind of
right,
want to do everything all at once. I think that's how it felt for me. Even though I had a plan, because I was always working from home, I felt like I have more time. So I was putting more and more time because I wanted, until I realized, hold on, that's exactly what I wasn't. And it took me a few good months because that's exactly what I wasn't planning to do. The whole purpose of not doing that was to get my balance right and have more time with my
yeah.
family.
Although that was also a reflection of your success. You were
Yes.
doing so well, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yes, that was, I didn't expect it to go so well so quickly. I think I thought I would have more time to linger about, if you wish, and just try and find myself. But I felt because it was going so fast, I felt like I needed to go as fast at it. But at the same time, at some point, I thought, do you know what? You can control this, so I needed to put things in place to make sure I don't eat on my time that I wanted to get in the first place.
Financially, did you ever look for investment from a third party or try and take out a loan, or was that not an issue with you in terms of building your business?
No, I didn't look for any funding. And the good thing about this type of business is there's little to no investment. You can use everything you have at home. And as I grew and I needed to change processes, I kind of had the small money in the bank to buy a printer for my labels, for example. Initially I
Right.
handwritten everything, and put the labels on, and then I moved on. Initially, I didn't have a proper system on I was taking orders through the phone, and now I have a website. So as I grew, the money was coming in to kind of reinvest into my
Yeah.
business to automate some of the processes. So this is why this is such a profitable and great business, because the model works so well, because you don't need a lot of money to set it up. You just start with what you have, and then you add as you make the money. You get things in, if you wish.
And do you think
Um,
that's a model that other people could follow, or do they have to be
Totally.
you? Yes, they could.
Yeah, totally. I think I think there's probably a limit to what you could do, because sometimes I can just do way too many hours in a day when I do the meal prep. But I definitely think there's a model that you can follow, hence why I created the Empowered Kitchen program, which I'm trying to get other passionate cooks to build a successful meal prep business from home, and they can do it. And rather than, they can do it even quicker than me in terms of getting a few hundred. All you need is a few hundred meal preps to make in a week to actually make some really decent money. So
Right.
it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely a program that they can learn really quickly, and they can start really quickly at home.
Right.
But on the funding, I mean, I've got so many great plans for 2025. But on the funding section, I'm kind of learning about the funding now, because I'm just in the process of setting up a CIC,
Okay.
um, the Empowered Journey. So part of my plan is to really make homemade meal accessible for everybody, and that's either by teaching people to make their own and see it's not that hard, because there's really easy ways to put spices together and put them to make 10-15 minutes, or empower other people in local communities, maybe use of the community kitchens, or their own homes, and just build a business around their community, because that way they can earn a living and feed their community with healthy meals. which helps
Right.
so much in terms of long-term health. I mean, there's so many benefits to eating unprocessed, delicious food, to to
Yeah.
to well-being. And if somebody can make money out of that and sustain themselves, I think it's a win-win. So I
Right.
will be dealing with funding in the future.
That's really intriguing. So you decided to go the CIC route because you didn't want to make money and you can't make profits with the CIC, but you
Mm,
can sustain yourself. So it's about being able to earn a living
mm,
out of doing something that you love to do.
yeah.
And that's the model that you want to actually get other people involved in.
One of the reasons, alongside the long working hours with the corporate world, was the lack of the lack of passion in being for the people.
Right.
And I really struggle with that, because really making a difference and adding value is something that is at the core of my life. I operate the same way with my friends, with my family, with who I am. So I really struggle with how can I add value. And about 6 months ago, as I was at a bit of a crossroad in terms of I had to say no to people for adding more meals because there's only so much I can cook. And then I didn't know which way to kind of go and grow and what do I want to do. And all the advices I was getting was mainly around um, cor going into commercial kitchen and expanding, the same as any other meal prep
Okay.
business out there has grown. But for me, I kind of I did a lot of self-reflection. I needed to go back to what's important to me, and that was adding value and being really part of something more than building an empire and
Right.
having the same thing like everybody else.
Well, looking ahead, what are some of the key financial strategies you're focusing on to achieve your long-term goals? Have you put a lot of thought into that?
The key financial strategies.
Do you need to invest more in trying to sell the idea to other people? Or is that just a natural process that's going to happen by the people you meet, through the people you meet?
The way I look at it, the meal prep business is kind of self-sustained, and for me is making sure that that produces what it produces currently to keep it going, for my local community, for that's where I get my wages paid. That's that's what is the bread and butter for us as a family. And then the strategy on the other part is to try and raise as much awareness as possible about the importance and the possibility to actually be in control of yourself and of your finances by
Right.
setting up a business, or having the skills to confidently go to work, or I think that's kind of where the strategy would fit in.
I love it. You just said the magic words, be in control of your finance and your business. I
Mm,
love it.
mm,
And
mm.
that comes from your working lunch in the company you work for. I can understand it.
You get all sorts of ideas in those canteens, I'm afraid.
Yeah. You should go back and thank them for overworking you.
Oh my God, do you know what? I get all sorts of ideas in all sorts of places. I wish I had the time to deliver on all my crazy ideas sometimes.
Well, you should do because they're not crazy. They're actually very sound. So the only
Thank you.
issue is that people aren't you. Would you advise someone who came to you for help when you thought, well, actually, they don't really have the passion and they need that? How would you? Is that an essential part of growing a business like yours?
It is. And even when I did I've chosen the mentorship that I do currently through Growth Hub. I always said that I want us to meet, me and the future mentee, or the other way around, because there has to be it's an interview process for both of us. Because if
Right,
if I if I can't see what I need, that there's not many things that this project needs to succeed for them, but I won't be able to do it for them. So
right.
I think,
So there's got to be chemistry, not just between you two as individuals, but between their ideas and your ideas.
Yes,
You've got to believe
yes,
that
yes,
they really know what's involved in this.
yes, exactly. That is the only way, and that's the main thing that somebody would need to be on the program, to have that passion of wanting to succeed.
And as far as financial strategies are concerned, it's about being able to live your life
Mm,
comfortably,
mm,
without overworking, to be
mm.
able to have time for your family, but still fulfill
Mm.
your dreams in terms of delivering what you believe in and making money out of it, and the money actually pays for you to lead a decent life. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I'm always thinking, if you can add one person into, I mean, if you can influence one person to change that and turn from whatever the situation is into exactly what you said, that's
Yeah,
kind of so meaningful, and I remember when I was in my roles as an area manager, part of my job was coaching and training and teaching people, on the shop floor. And the best feeling you had when one of your, I don't know, your part-time barista or part-time sales assistant was becoming the next store manager, or the next, the next person that would take over of something. That is that that empowerment that you give them to have changed their life. It is just, and this is exactly what this business can do, this business model can do for people if they embrace it and they really want it.
thank you so much for talking to us today. um, I totally understand why you're so successful, and I know that you'll continue to be so. And also, I think you have this skill. You're not going to have, you're not going to overdo it. You're not going to have working lunches, because that's where the inspiration came from. That's probably the biggest skill of all, to actually grow a business without actually exhausting yourself.
Thank you. I totally agree, and it's hard. It is so hard. But if there's anything that people can take away from today, is discipline is such an important skill, especially when no one's watching, when there's no one to look at your clocking in and clocking out,
Yeah,
when you think, well, I could make more money by spending this, but then what you're missing out. So there's so much to go about when you're running your own business, that you could just be in it for forever. So trying to be disciplined and schedule time in and work to your schedule is such a tremendous skill, but it's so important, because otherwise it's not sustainable. And even delegating, like, people don't tend to delegate. You can delegate when you're small business. They think there's VAs now here and there, just go and, sometimes
yeah,
£30 to pay somebody to do something that, will save you an hour. It's so
yeah.
important,
I like it.
delegation, and just getting things in a structure where you can have a bit of everything, and
Yeah.
definitely still have your holidays. I think people tend, the first thing they let go of when they start their own business is holidays. Plan in such a way that you can still have your holiday that year, even if it's your year one of business. Because I think that what you get when you go out there, with your feet on the sand and the beach waves just floating about, that kind of energy once a year, you're never going to get it anywhere, and it'll be good not only for you but for your business to get out.
I love it. So many wise words. You realize we're going to claim that we said them, so we're going to make them our own now. That's brilliant. Thank you, Diane Potora. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going straight to the beach.
Oh, me too. I wish. Me too. Ray,
Okay.
thank you so much for having me. I mean, genuinely, I could have been here and talked to you forever. I can't believe I just looked at the time. It's 51 past, and I didn't realize it was already gone.
Yeah,
Like,
I get into trouble with Gornaz for talking too long, but there you go. Diana,
was she
thank you
already
so much.
flickering that?
Thanks,
Thank you.
Diana. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.